This one is pulled into the onside to almost another county down to Fernando, but he picks it up on the boundary rope. They go through for two. Nicely played there from Zach Crawley, who comes through for two. There's a bit of a clap in the crowd. I wonder if they thought he was on it to his 50, but no, he's on 49 now. And nicely picked up. That was short and there to be pulled into the onside with this. As I said, acres of space. It's still in the county of Kent, I might add. Here comes Patterson round the wicket to Crawley. He's probably eyeing up yet another 50, and this one's driven. An on-drive, beautiful on-drive. Love an on-drive. Is he going to go through to the boundary rope? I think it is. And indeed, Crawley brings up his 50. He races back to the pavilion and indeed to all corners of the ground, goes down the wicket to shake hands with Ben Compton. That is exactly what Crawley has been asked to do today, to be a run machine for Kent, who will be looking for survival in Division 1. They are relegation threatened. I'm sure I don't need to remind Kent supporters of that. 9th in the table at the moment and chasing down Middlesex. But Crawley on 53 without loss. Lovely innings so far, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much what we expect from Zach Crawley.
Next one comes in, and this one's driven. Lofted though, driven just past the bowler for 4 more runs. No need for a chase for this one. Oh, Zach Crawley's in the mood. If it had been, I'd say, about 12 inches further to the right, Patton would have been in business, but that brings Crawley up to 57 from just 55 deliveries. Well, Bazball on show here at the Spitfire Ground St Lawrence.
Well, no, I guess no surprise to that. That's the way he's been asked to play his cricket for England. That's the way he's playing for Kent as well. It's risk against reward, and we've seen the reward for Kent so far, 57 from 55, and 10 off this over from Patterson, who's been excellent. Crawley's trying to bludgeon him out of the attack here.
Next delivery, and this one's a much better delivery. Jagged into Crawley. He was looking to push it into the onside, but went to mid-on, and there's no run. So far, an expensive one for Patterson in the grand scheme of his numbers. 10 off the overs so far. And I'll be making way for Dave once again very shortly. But we're on the BBC Sport app. Please do join us. I'm not sure if the live feed is on in order yet, but we're here on this lovely day here in Canterbury. Absolutely enthralling game. First day of 4. Kent again, it's not. This one's driven to mid-off, and there's no run. I feel like he might have missed out there a little bit. An on-drive would have meant 4 more, but end of the over, 10 from it. And the score, 73 without loss.
Philip, great stat here on kentcricket@gmail.com. Compton.balls, he said he was 15 not out from 22 balls, Ben Compton. Another 47 have elapsed since then, so Compton is definitely on the defensive here, or trying to hold the batting off. Tom Moore has been on the about to go on the wicket-keeping helmet, has taken the opportunity to have a towel down as well from the 12th man coming out. Fielding pads coming as well, so we are going to see spin, I think. And it's going to be Calvin Harrison. Well, that would make all sorts of sense from this pavilion end. An update coming for BBC Radio Kent's listeners as well. So just to repeat that, Ben Compton, thanks to Philip Bailey on the emails, kentcricket@gmail.com, had 15 off 22 balls. He now has 15 off 69, 47 dot balls for Ben Compton. He's been watchful at one end, while Zach Crawley has been explosive at the other. Now 57 from 57 balls. A bit of a wait here while Calvin Harrison chats to Joe Clark, I think it is, at this end.
Just quickly, Matt, Middlesex 18 for 4.
Oh no!
Now at Old Trafford.
Oh, that is no. Oh no!
Not nice, is it?
Our condolences. But yeah, both sides. Perhaps Kent slightly more than Nottinghamshire have an eye on that. But yes, wouldn't do either side any harm if Middlesex were to lose catastrophically to Lancashire. Wouldn't wish that one upon them though. Harrison giving air to Compton, his first ball, coming over the wicket, the spinner, and updating our radio listeners right now. And going well, 73 for no wicket, Kent are here as Ben Compton deflects the ball onto the onside. Zach Crawley has come back from England duty and has behaved exactly as he has for England, smashing the ball as hard as he possibly can, giving away 2 or 3 half chances to Nottinghamshire as well with their excellent bowling, but he has 50 now, 57 from 57 balls. Kent 73 for none. Ben Compton at the other end has been, well, it's absolutely been chalk and cheese. He's now faced 50 balls in which he's not scored a run, so he raced to 15 off 22 balls. He's now 15 from 72. It very much is limpet-like watching Crawley at the other end and making sure he keeps his wicket intact. Another dot ball goes by. Kent 73 for none, having won the toss and elected to bat first here at a sun-drenched Canterbury. They need points, Kent, to avoid relegation in these final 3 games of the season. Going okay on the first morning of this game against Notts, and commentary continuing via the BBC Sport website and app. I think Andy Garland's about right for Ben Compton here. He's doing an excellent job. He's going to take a run. Ooh, Ben, come on. Yeah, he's taking a single there. There we go. So that was 51 balls, I think, consecutive dot balls faced by Compton, and yeah, he's near the strike as well. 74 for none. So yes, whereas Compton was just about keeping up with Crawley for the first couple of overs. He's gone back into his shell, but that's the way he plays.
Good title of his autobiography. Another dot ball goes by, which I'm sure you'll write with him in 10 years' time when he.
Well, I'd be absolutely honoured should he choose me, Dave. But,
Brett Hutton going to take over things from the Nackington Road end. 74 without loss. So yeah, the match that we're keeping half a beady eye on is at Old Trafford. Middlesex 18 for 4 against Lancashire. Notts have got 2 matches left after this one. Lancashire at Old Trafford and Middlesex at Trent Bridge to finish. Here's Hutton to bowl to Compton. The Hutton grunt, very evident. He bowled that to former teammate Ben Compton, who pushes us into the covers, and there is Sitha Fernando on his Nottinghamshire debut, doing the fielding. 2 slips, Clark and Harrison. Montgomery's in the gully. Lyndon James backward point. And Fernando and Patterson completely offside. Melania Mead and Slater on the leg side. Next ball is blocked by the blocker, grandson of Dennis.
As we found out last season, the beginning of last season, this is very much the way Ben Compton plays his cricket. And he said, and I've probably said this many times, so BBC Radio Kent listeners will just roll their eyes as I say, we asked him what sort of cricketer he was. He said, "It's my job to be boring."
He's effective. Hutton bowls and the effective Compton defends. In time for the final match of the season, when we eventually return to Trent Bridge after what seems like 3.5 years away for the Middlesex game, I must ensure I get a big picture of the Notts head coach Peter Moores in there on the desk for me, because I feel I've been doing it wrong, because Matt's got a nice picture of the Kent head coach in here, Matt Walker. That is that is kowtowing to the cricket club in extreme. Next ball is pushed into the offside.
I should explain.
Do you want to get him to autograph it for you?
I should explain should I get accused of, as you say, of being handing glove with the club. But this cardboard photo of Matt Walker actually acts as our shade for our communications kit. So there we go. Actually, that's looking better now, isn't it?
You were worshipping that when I arrived.
Oh, he caught me, ladies and gentlemen. But there we are. So yes, it's come in very handy. It's just a gentle shade on our kits, which do overheat at times, and
they do.
We want to keep you informed, obviously.
74 without loss. We've overheated heated at times. Oh, that's good from Fernando. The drums were sounding then. Punched into the offside by Compton for seemingly a boundary, and that would have been his third boundary had it managed to beat Fernando, but Sri Lankan, full-length dive in the covers, and there's no run at the end of it.
He'll do, won't he? He's starting pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, I will, I'm sure, in the fullness of time, find out how it came about. I would presume he's got an agent who has also got an agent with somebody else that Knots know about. This is dropped on the leg side. They do circulate. Let's take a single here, Compton. They do circulate the names of available players around, don't they? And Knots, I know, would have wanted to have had Ollie Stone and Jake Ball available. Ball in the squad. So it's an interesting one that the decision has been made to bring Fernando in. Clearly, they had the fingers burnt a little bit a couple of games ago at the Oval when Jake Ball didn't complete the first session of the match on the first day, and Knots have been playing catch up in a few games actually. Brett Hutton, he had cramp in that game, was off the field for much of that first day as well. Dane Patterson was off the field for the last day. Luke Fletcher at Northampton, he had to leave the field on the second day, didn't play any further part in the game. Here's Calvin Harrison, here's Matt.
Yeah, over the wicket, the leg spinner, giving plenty of air once again. Driven gently into the offside. Compton's halfway down the pitch before Crawley sent him back. He might have tried to send him back earlier, and he did make it back in the end, but is that Ben Slater diving for there? But had Slater been able to get there sooner, Compton would have been absolutely stranded. Felt to me like Crawley could have actually taken that run, but there we go. He decided against it. He sent Compton back. 75 for no wicket. Defended back to the bowl. It may be that Crawley's thinking about those matchups that we hear about from the analysts, is that leg spinner perhaps less effective against the left-hander, but I can't believe he's turning down a run at this stage in his career, the England opener. But this one's defended in the offside, there's no run.
Ran through Kent in the first innings at Trent Bridge. Calvin Harrison, 4 for 25. Had a very good game. 30 odd with the bat as well. Good young player.
It's over the wicket now to Compton, studiously getting forward and blocking it out into the offside. Fielded on the bounce, on the prance by Calvin Harrison. It's the offside.
We've only got 18 minutes or so to go until lunch.
At the moment, very much Kent session. 75 for none. What can Harrison do here? That's a miss hit off the inside of the bat by Compton. He attempts to drive the leg spinner, but it's fielded once again by Harrison off his own bowling.
That said, we know all the cricket sayings and
add 2 from here.
Yeah.
This is blocked out as well.
Just wait until he released that ball. I was going to say, suddenly, bang bang, 80 for 2.
Yeah.
And you think, that's a maiden from Harrison.
Indeed so. 2 overs, 1 maiden, and none for 1. Good start from him. Crawley and Compton having a chat out there. Crawley's the liberty of taking his batting helmet off there. I'd imagine. I mean, as I said, I don't want to go over-egg the heat in the commentary box, but out there in the middle under a batting helmet is probably pretty toasty.
Yeah.
It'll be energy sapping as well, I'd imagine.
They do. They do it every day of their lives, don't they? Just
That's
about.
true.
But today is a warm one. It's a warm one in the field. When I was on with Rita, I said, Crawley, if you give him a par score for today, 150 I've given him. Anything under that, I think he'd have left some runs out there. Would you agree with that?
I think
he should really dip his bread in today.
I think, given the start he's made and the the half chances which he survived, I could see that from his point of view too. Yeah.
Hutton to bowl to him. How will he approach this over? Strikes this one firmly to Dane Patterson at mid-on, no run.
I mean, it's a high bar, but then he's an England player in decent form, so 57. Well, I might go 100. Well, 100 would be nice, but they want to make a big score, and he needs to be a part of that from this platform, absolutely.
And once Notts have broken this partnership, of course, some very decent players still to come. Daniel Bell-Drummond only had the one triple century this season. This is pushed back to him. Was this season?
It was indeed, yes. Yeah.
The young man to Endemier.
Yeah, coming at 4, we think.
Leaning. Harry Finch. I like the look of Harry.
Reborn cricketer, and so been doing well. Yeah.
J. Everson Esquire.
Of course, formerly of the parish. Nottingham.
And probably the declaration will come round about then.
Well, you're doing your best. Everything to put the mockers on it.
2:15 tomorrow. Hutton to Crawley. He's driven it past the bowler. Despairing, desperate lunge from Hutton to try and stop it as it screeched past him. And away for 4 runs straight down the ground. 79 without loss. Crawley momentarily stalled on 57, but he's got going again. 61 now from as many balls.
What I would say about this Kent batting lineup is that looks a long tail after Everson, Chahal, Gilchrist and Hogan.
Oh well.
But you want your top 6 to score the runs, don't you? That's the idea.
Just the quick 6, boys, and you're through them.
What do they say? 1 brings 2, 2 brings 3. That's what they'll be chuntering in the field, won't they? 5 brings 6. You're nearly there.
It's been an unforgiving morning, really, weather-wise. Been a little bit of movement off the surface early on as Hutton comes in again, and Crawley once more strikes it majestically out to deep mid-wicket. Oh, and Fernando. Well, we can quickly gloss over that one. He'll be hoping that the ground opens up and swallows him. Oh dear, oh dear. A routine stop on the boundary. Becomes 4 runs for Zach Crawley. Not sure if it actually nutmegged him or went under his outstretched hand as he reached down to stop it, but they do things a little differently in the County Championship Division 1 to probably what they do in the first class game in Sri Lanka. That should have been stopped. 4 runs.
Be one man that's really glad the live video pictures aren't on right now, but yeah.
Saturday club cricket, that would have been a hefty fine. Next ball driven up to mid-on. There's no run. My little local club Cornton had their President's Day yesterday. I was obviously following events from afar, enjoying a bit of pizza at Stadium MK before the footy.
They treat you well there.
They do indeed. They do indeed. Nice stadium.
Oh, Middlesex are 5 down now.
Oh,
I know.
83 without loss here. Crawley on strike. A couple of boundaries in this over. There might be another one. He's driven this past Hutton. Won't be cut off. Dane Patterson. He made a token attempt, I think, to get there, but 3 boundaries in 4 balls for Zach Crawley, and quick as a flash. He's gone from 57 to 69, and it's 87 without loss with about 13 minutes to go to lunch.
That shows his power, doesn't it? That's a Yorker.
Yeah.
I thought he was digging that one out, but he's managed to propel it past Hutton. You must wonder what he has to do to get past the defences of Crawley. But
Hutton 6 overs, no maidens, none for 40. This is a bowler that
I was going to say,
this season I've been used to seeing 9 overs, 6 maidens, 3 for 5, or things like that. Terrific economy rate, a successful wicket taker, season of his life, and I guess it's a combination of not being in week out match action with the red ball, unforgiving conditions, and an informed Crawley.
That's looked tough to bowl on this. So there's been a bit of movement earlier on, but as the ball gets older, 25 overs old now. First ball propelled into the onside by Compton off the bowling of Harrison, the leg spinner, coming over the wicket. Natural spin will take it into the left-hander. She's found the googly. That's a reverse from Compton. Gets a single. Little murmur from the Kent fans. Perhaps they thought that was going for 4, but just impressed that he would open up enough to do that. 18 off 89 balls now. Crawley has 69 off 63.
There is sound now on the live stream, apparently, thanks to Rach.
Well, hello everybody. There we go. Here we're on BBC Radio Kent, BBC Nottingham. Online commentary, of course, of every ball of the county championship across local radio, and the One Day Cup and T20 cricket as well. T20 blast. Here, Kent are 88 for now, having won the toss and elected to bat. Crawley 69 from 63, Compton 18 from 89, and this is blocked out by Crawley. This ball from Harrison, which I think might be the first one he's faced from the leg spinner. But Crawley's 69 has not been chanceless. You've seen him play for England. You're probably aware of what might have happened on his way to the 69. Some huge bludgeoning shots as he drops out into the offside to take a single. He goes on to 70, but probably 3 half chances. One that shot just above the slip's head. There was one for Hamid, wasn't there, on a covered drive, which was ankle high, which, I mean, would have been a worldie if he'd taken it. And then
the slash to Patterson early on.
Again,
that was
hit with such force that Patterson did well to get to it, but Compton managed to avoid being bowled by Fernando, as this one's just nudged into the onside, no run by Compton.
We have a Montenegrin correspondent in the form of Andy Seston. Good afternoon, guys. Listening to you live from our hotel in Budva in Montenegro, keeping up with Notts' progress, hoping for a breakthrough.
That's Harrison bowls to Compton, looking for that very breakthrough. End of the 26th over, 89 for none.
Hope your flight back is is on time, Andy. That's said with feeling. Having spent all last Friday in Naples Airport. Player pumping, maybe Zach should be in the ODI squad.
Well, he is, but in the Ireland one, isn't he? Yeah. But they're probably talking about the World Cup. But as I said, a stated ambition of him. He's done interviews where he said next thing for him is he'd love to be part of the England white ball setup.
Captain Crawley.
Yeah, for the one-day series against Ireland, certainly.
Captain Crawley and Captain Mullaney. Stephen Mullaney is going to turn his arm over here just before lunch. He's had a reputation throughout his career being a partnership breaker, somebody who can come on and just winkle out a wicket when it's most needed. He's only taken 5 this season at an average of 45 apiece. And he's not taken more than 1 wicket in any single innings this season, Stephen Mullaney. Not made a 50 with the bat, so in lean pickings, he's into bowl to the dangerous Crawley, who works this to mid-wicket. Fielded by Joe Clark, taking a break from the slip cordon. And there's no run. 89 without loss. With probably about 3 overs to go until lunch, maybe 4. Compton has 18 at the non-striker's end. Moore's obviously up to the stumps with Mullaney taking the pace off it. Bowls now. It's gone through everybody for 4 byes. It went over the top of mid. It nibbled back from Mullaney. A little bit of bounce. Cut between bat and body. And completely went past Tom Moores without any intervention at all from the keeper. And down below, as you perhaps heard it, whack into the advertising boards for 4 byes.
Well, that was close.
Did say pace off the ball. I just wonder if he pushed that one through a little quicker, but he's certainly got some appreciable movement. Just nibbled it back through the gate. He's in again and bowls. Crawley does get bat on it this time. 93 without loss. And playing for about 95 minutes or thereabouts. Crawley has 70. Button going for 4 boundaries early on from him. Mullaney has pulled this one outside the off stump, pushed into the offside. Montgomery with a diving stop. The ball ran away from Matthew Montgomery. A little surprised they didn't take a single there, but they elected not to.
Just readjusting the fielding pads he's wearing at the moment.
Yeah. Mid-on and mid-off are up. May well be a bit of a tempter here if Mulaney floats one up to him to take the aerial route downtown. Next delivery is cut away into the offside. There is protection out there with Hamid. Single takes Crawley to 71, Kent to 94 without loss.
As I say, the second one-day international between England and New Zealand has been delayed by rain at the Ageas Bowl, Southampton, so no play there. It's lunch at Worcester as well on the under-19 test. Jaden Denley from Kent playing in that one. England against Australia.
Next ball on its way. Strikes him on the pad, Compton, and the umpire's scratching his chin, I think, there, umpire Pollard. Naughty, naughty man. It's the end of the over and not out. Raised his hand, didn't he? His left hand up. I think he scratched his chin. 94 without loss. Trevor Arbon, afternoon all. Sound and graphics are on, but there's no video feed yet, Dave. Currently sitting on the laptop with a bottle of something cold.
Oh yeah, sorry. The club have forwarded that to me. I do apologise for that. We are on the live feed in the match centre for the clubs as well. I think on YouTube as well, but no pictures at the moment. So we'll just do.
Where's the cameraman? Are they not turned up today? The camera boys and girls.
Overheating camera equipment. I don't know.
Could be.
Just having technical difficulties. I mean, they could explain it to me. I wouldn't understand it, Dave. To be honest, this is turned into the onside by Crawley of the bowling of Harrison. The leg spinner takes a jogged single down to backward square. They
don't want us to have a bit of a look at lunchtime with our technical expertise.
I think I've got a hammer in my bag.
I haven't even got a hammer.
Wish I hadn't said that now. Why would I have one?
You've got a hammer in your bag.
Yeah. 999 is who you need to call for the police. This is straight back at the bowler, no run off Compton. But yeah, that would be my expertise for anything that's wonky at home. Just hit it with something, and probably needs a little bit more. I'm sure Dave, a man of your technical expertise, could sort it all out for him. Here's Harrison. Slipping a short leg in now for Compton, goes to reverse. He's missed it. Has a bail gone?
I think it has.
I think it has, because the wicketkeeper's pointing to the stumps. Compton, a long hole for him, looking ruefully back at the stumps, and that is bowled. It's come off something as a sweep of the bat as he's gone for the reverse there. A big appeal, I think, for LBW at first, but then Tom Moore's just walking down the wicket. The wicketkeeper has pointed back at the stumps and pointed out one of the bails has gone. So Ben Compton has been bowled for 18 by Calvin Harrison, and their first wicket to fall just 3 or 4 minutes before lunch. 95 for 1, Kent.
I think he brushed his elbow there. You know, it might just have been something he does a lot, but it may well have been that. Well, hang on it. Oh no, it's going to be a water break. I was going to say, we are getting Daniel Bell-Drummond walking out to the middle, and we did a thought of the Nottinghamshire players walking off as if lunch had been called, but there's still a few minutes to go until the luncheon interval. The applause for Ben Compton. They are just having a lunch break, rather a drinks break before lunch. 95 for 1. It was bizarre dismissal.
I was going to say, one of those, the batsman coming off. No wonder he's shaking his head. Not quite sure what it's come off, but it's bowled him after a long stay at the crease.
Harrison certainly didn't see it because he was pleading with the umpire to give the LBW. He'd turned round and given it the full raw. Compton I think he was attempting a reverse. Certainly looking to play an aggressive shot, and now he'll be wishing he'd reverted to type and just blocked it.
So Daniel Bell-Drummond comes in at 12:28.
Yeah.
So, will we make it through the end of the over? This pair might find they need new gloves and slow things down a bit. But Harrison to Bell-Drummond just pushes it back at the spin bowl. No reason why they shouldn't get through the rest of this over. The 2 balls remaining before it goes to half past. I'm sure they'd very much like to as well.
One brings two.
Short leg and a slip in for Bell-Drummond. Flatter delivery, quicker from Harrison. Whipped in and just guided away by Bell-Drummond. Final delivery coming up of the 28th over, but it feels to me like Notts have really deserved at least one wicket this morning. Had chances, bowled well on a pretty unforgiving surface. Ooh, goodness me. I couldn't see what he defended that off stump there. I'm presuming he had. The bowler was in my line of vision. Anyway, he's kept it off the stumps. 95 for 1 dot ball at the end. A minute to go, so yeah, they'll have time for one more over. Looks like Steve Mullaney from the far end.
Well, Notts have got the breakthrough. It's taken them the best part of 2 hours to do it. 27.5 overs. Been a couple of half chances, maybe even quarter chances. There was one in the last over from Mullaney that cut Crawley in half. Can he find another delivery of that quality? Zach Crawley, the big fish really here, blocks this one out as far as Montgomery. If Notts could just, in these next 5 deliveries, somehow manage to drop lucky and dismiss Crawley, I might think it's not been that bad a session after all. At 95 for 1, it's certainly Kent's session, and whilst Crawley remains, there's going to be a big score on the board here. He's played this to backward point. There's Ben Slater, the man from Chesterfield, doing the fielding. 95 for 1.
I was just reading the headline about the Hampshire below average pitch. I didn't realise it was all the Arctic monkeys' fault.
Was it?
Oh, yes, apparently.
Mullaney again falls. This is turned on the leg side, so Crawley's down the safe end, if you like. 96 for 1, and he's moved on to 73.
That's a story thread I wasn't expecting to see today, but there we go.
Those cheeky little northern boys.
Assuming that their gig there, that the fans may have, or the surface anyway, they've got chopped up a little bit. So
what did they do? Look good on the dance floor?
Indeed, so
yes, yeah. Some such. That surprised you, didn't it?
That's the big hit, I think.
Yeah, that surprised you.
Dark horse.
We've been waiting for DBD to take guard, get himself ready. Mullaney bowls to him. Push that one through a little quicker, I fancy Mullaney. Tom Moore's expecting it. Gathers it outside the off stump. How many balls we got left? 2 deliveries to come in a session that began at 10:30. No reason it shouldn't. Perfect playing conditions. Still suspect we won't get away any earlier at the end of the day. As Mullaney bowls, Beldrummond digs this one out, so we're just 1 delivery away from lunch. Zach Crawley early on it. Brett Hutton for 4 consecutive boundaries, reached his half century from 54 deliveries, hitting 7 fours and a 6. Carried on very much in the same vein, but a moment or 2 ago lost his opening partner. Ben Compton bowled by Calvin Harrison for 18. Last ball of the session, Mullaney bowls. Crawley, or rather Beldrummond keeps it out. Crawley 73 not out, Beldrummond not out at lunch here. Kent, who won the toss, on 96 for 1, and we've had 29 overs.
Dave, thank you very much, and Dave Bracegirdle, Matt Cole, Reggie Green, your commentary team today will be back with you after the luncheon interview, of course. An update coming for BBC Radio Kent listeners, but at round about 12 minutes past 1, we'll be back on air for the second session of this contest. On the first day, Crawley 73 from 74, Beldrummond has none from 6, and Compton went for a studious, limpet-like 18. Updating BBC Radio Kent listeners right now. just coming in at lunch, and that applause you can hear, Andy, is for Kent and England's Zach Crawley. 73 he's hit, blistering runs from 74 balls this morning. Kent 96 for 1, won the toss and elected a bat here against Nottinghamshire. The one man to go this morning just before lunch, 3 minutes before, in fact. Ben Compton had been absolutely studious for his 18, had been limpet-like watching Crawley at the other end. 94 balls he lasted before he attempted to reverse sweep a ball from spinner Harrison. It was a massive LBW appeal. The wicketkeeper pointed out that whatever that appeal had gone, a bail had come off. Somehow it had come off an article, I think, of Ben Compton's clothing and dropped onto the stumps. He went off shaking his head. Kent just about ahead, I'd say, this morning. Looks like a very good pitch to bat on in a beautiful sense from that.
A compliment, maybe I won't push it. But I think
geek is the new cool.
Geek chic is actually an official term.
Oh, is it? All right,
did
okay.
it make it into the dictionary? I don't know. But
There
we go. Here comes the next over. Crawley on strike. Delaney is put this one slightly down leg side, only just a little bit, and Crawley off his hips with beautiful timing pushes it down to fine leg. If you love to read the textbook of how to bat, Crawley's got to be one of those players that in his full flow, that's exactly what you love. But I like a bit of ingenuity. I don't actually mind. I know I'm going to be controversial here. Steve Smith, just putting it out there. Next delivery, far fuller. Oh, and he defends this one, does Bell Drummond. There was a shout in the air, because if he had missed it, it would have been absolutely bob on to be an LBW shout.
But the quirks make the game interesting, don't they? Absolutely right.
Yeah, because also, growing up, I definitely wasn't conventional in any way, the way I played. And I used to get a little bit wound up, like, just because I haven't got my front elbow completely at 90, essentially, to the ball, that doesn't make me a bad player if I'm hitting the runs. Anyway, there's my argument. Next one, far fuller. Oh, and this is nicely struck into the cover region, but straight to the fielder, who fields really nicely. And that's Montgomery, I think, in the cover region. Very, very, very important position there for both Bell Drummond and for Crawley. 110 for 1.
I think if I was going to go to university at this late stage of my penultimate flush of youth, I think spin bowlers run-ups would be my dissertation subject. I think,
next delivery, far fuller one. I want to talk about that forever. Really? Wow.
Well, I'm not that I'm a particular expert,
ball, by the
but
way.
I'd love to. I just love to study it because I think that's where you get it with batting, but you get a lot of quirkiness within spinners as well. Particularly leg spinners when they there's all sorts of action you have to put on the ball before it actually getting. Releasing it from your hand. So Dan Lawrence, he'd be a great subject.
Brilliant. Right, next delivery comes in. Nice over so far, and this one cut into the offside, back foot stroke, and it pushes the boundary fielder towards the boundary rope. And indeed, I'm going to go on the umpire Pollard's word here that was a 4, because it was slightly obstructed to our right, but 4 more. That was really nicely played, and it just needed a tiny bit of back foot movement for Bell Drummond to get that to the left of point and nicely through to the boundary rope. 114 for 1.
Again, that's one of his strengths, is he's hitting that more or less off a good length with very little width, but he's cutting that as if it was a ball wide of the off stump. But
so a puller and a cutter.
He
basically
plays the ball very late, but as I said, which can get him into trouble.
Wandering out with heaven knows whatever supplies not need, and there'll be refreshments also brought out for Bell Drummond and Crawley. And Liam Patterson-White's coming out dragging a call box. Wouldn't you just love him to crack open a few tinnies or flip the lid off a few bottles of beer?
I thought maybe he was selling ice cream, so
maybe
reaching in there. Why not?
The fact that it is an ice box, you suggest there's going to be some cool things in there that the players are greedily grabbing.
St. Port's go back to the 11th century. There we go. Trade and military purposes. So
And Mr. BBC Radio Kent man, is it a term that's still commonly used?
Well, I mean, I suppose again for historic purposes to mark them out as old seaside towns. As I don't know, it confers a little bit more historical significance, I suppose, to them. Yes.
They're not in a little union or a little conglomerate.
I don't know if they are now.
They don't form up in a group to play Canterbury at Rugby Union every other year for the St. Port Trophy.
I don't think they do, but I like the idea of that. It's like having a little Commonwealth, isn't it? The St. Port Games.
Canterbury and Tunbridge Wells against the St. Ports.
I'm putting that down. Ideas for stories next year. St. Port Games, come on. We've got to get it going. Take BBC Radio Kent down to the sea for the games or whatever. 2 of the 5 of them, 5 original ones.
It's a shame the old it's a knockout doesn't exist anymore. Can you remember that? It was the basic UK one was It's a Knockout, and then it became the international version, wasn't it? Jeux sans frontières.
In the dim, distant recesses, I remember people in huge costumes. Is that right?
Yeah.
Falling over a lot.
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah. Eddie Waring laughing a lot.
I think that was it's the extent of my knowledge. Well, yeah, okay, a St Port's version of that then. Is that what we're going with it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, yeah, Hastings is outside, Ken. We could tiptoe over the border, I suppose.
Yeah, Hastings is Sussex, isn't it?
Yeah. Winchelsea and Rye can, yeah. Although, yeah, they're getting close to the borders. Anyway, you haven't missed any cricket. My apologies.
Yeah, we do try hard, but we're not going to commentate on them taking a drink.
It's about that time in the afternoon. Listeners who listen to BBC Radio Kent's commentary will know this round about 20 past 2 or 10 to 3 on a day during the summer. That's where I'm very easily distracted. So I apologise to all and sundry. Paul has emailed in on kentcricket@gmail.com. Great to hear from you, Paul. Do you think cricket misses a trick, he says, by having no red ball cricket during the school holidays, a very little weekend bank holiday cricket?
Yes, Paul. Yes.
But a yes for that. To me,
sorry, he wasn't asking me, was he?
To me, it would make sense to have cricket on when more people can attend. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm just agreeing with Dave. There we go. That's the simple answer. Here's Harrison to Bell Drummond. Maybe just flicked into the onside. It's going to be 4. In fact, it is. It looked like it was gaining pace on the fielder, which I'm assured by people who know physics isn't possible. But that's gone for 4 runs.
Calvin Harrison before lunch, 4 overs, 1 for 4. Calvin Harrison after lunch, 1 ball, none for 4.
There we go. Yeah, I'm just going to agree with Dave actually.
Bring back the Sunday League. Bring back the Sunday League.
Possibly. Obviously, the one-day cup's played in August, isn't it? Ooh, bat and pad, more pad than bat. Pad first, pad in front of wicket. All those things are a no from umpire Burns.
Did you enjoy that though? Played Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
What the one?
The one-day cup.
I mean, it's not. It's really not for me to say.
Yes, it is. I'm asking your opinion.
I think competitions that are. I'll continue that thought in a second. Crikey, I sound like a politician here, and it's turned to the onside. Not really. And the unholy rush at the end of the one-day cup to the knockout stages is ridiculous. How supporters. I mean, let alone the players get themselves together to rush off somewhere, and then 2 days later you're somewhere else. And, oh well, by the way, the final's on a Thursday somewhere. Just feels. I think it's disrespectful to the spectators that turn up, frankly, apart from anything else, to the competition.
And the sponsors.
Yeah. Why you can't find a Saturday in the season, for instance, to play at Lord's for the one-day cup final, or a Saturday even at another location. Nothing wrong with Trent Bridge. I'm not having a
it is a Saturday final this year.
Oh, it is.
The 16th,
well, that's good. So I beg your pardon. Well, I'm moaning about last year then. A little paddle, little lap from Zach Crawley. Will it go for 4? Feel they can't get there quick enough. Fernando gave it everything to try and get there, but it's a deft little shot from Crawley. We've seen a lot of explosive hitting from the England man, but that one was a lovely, delicate little shot. But no, I don't think the format makes any sense to spectators, and they're the ones we want. We want to grace, really, don't we, during that period when the schools are off. So yeah, it's a very long way of saying.
Agreeing with the Sunday League.
Well, quite possibly, yeah. That was the first cricket I ever watched.
Yeah.
It was trying to think who was presenting back then. Jim Laker was on the commentary, though, I think. This one's cut away by Crawley. A definite little shot off the leg spinner, and that'll be a single, end of the over, 10 exactly off the over. So, as Dave was saying, Calvin Harrison had been parsimonious with his bowling before, 4 or 4 overs. It's now 1 for 14 off 5.
Yeah, so what does Stephen Mullaney do? One fairly expensive over doesn't necessarily mean that he should be dragged out of the attack straight away. Sammy King coming on the field. Oh, he's just collecting the helmets, or a helmet.
Oh, crikey. England, New Zealand has started, by the way.
Has it, by Jove?
Yes. I'm not sure if I have to give spoiler alerts for other cricket. I think that would be ridiculous, but
yeah,
some wickets have fallen.
Yeah, it's Dane Patterson trying to make some wickets fall here. Bowls to Zach Crawley, again the busy Slater at backward point, saves runs, good stop. No run.
England 10 for 3 then. They needed Crawley and Duckett at the top order, that's what we're saying. Yeah, 10 for 3 against New Zealand. It's a good side, that New Zealand side though as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
All 3 did Trent Bolt so far, 3 for 3 off 3.
Trent Rockets. Middlesex 100 for 6 at Lancashire in Division 1, the other Division 1
a
game.
bit, aren't they?
At Edgbaston they've got rain between Warwickshire and Northants. Northants 90 for 2. Patterson to Crawley. Again runs it to Slater on the offside. Not really played a shot in anger since reaching 3 figures. Zach Crawley, which is ominous in itself for Notts if he's set out his stall to go again. 3 games in Division 2. Yorkshire 99 for 1 at Cardiff against Glamorgan. Gloucestershire 113 for 2 against Derbyshire. That's at Bristol. And at Hove, Sussex 179 for 6 against the Foxers, who are through to that one-day cup final. Week on Saturday, as next one is driven to mid-wicket, partially stopped only. And they'll take a single. 170 for 1. Still a long way away from first batting bonus point. Not entirely sure I've been a big fan of that this year either, the 250 for the bonus point.
I don't feel like it's encouraged any sides to go any harder than they would have done in the first place. And I'm not sure even the system as it was before wasn't top of counties' minds, was it, to score that quickly?
Next ball is wide of the off stump and goes through to the keeper. Regular listeners will have heard me bang on about it for a few times about what I would have done. You know, 110 overs, yes, still keep it at 110 overs, but don't just stop at 400. If you're going well, you know, why shouldn't you get an extra batting point if you can reach 450 in 110 overs, or even 500 on a good day? If you need extra points, you know, to help you win a title or escape a relegation battle or win promotion, you know, you'd go out to score 500 in 110 overs or whatever. But this way, you know, there's no incentive to score, as you say, any more. You can't get any more points. Another hold up whilst people move well away from the sight screen. Bell Drummond will get a single when Patterson eventually bowls to him from our eye line at this end of the ground, the pavilion end of the ground. It just seems that 1 or 2 of the players have been a little fussy and finicky today with movement at the far end, nowhere near the screens. I mean, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 normal club side screens at the far end, all bolted together, so they're a good well, they're 30 yards wide, aren't they? And they're moaning about people either side of that, just, you know, scratching the nose or making some sort of movement. This is pushed up to mid-off by Crawley, and there's no run. Don't get it, really. 171 for 1. Doesn't matter how far wide of the crease any of the bowlers have bowled, they're not going to, shouldn't get in the eye line of the batter, anything that's happening wide of the screens. Sam King has come on as a sub-fielder. Who's that rushing off? Is it Brett Hutton, I think? Has yeah, just popped off for a comfort break. 171 for 1 here on BBC Radio Kent, BBC Radio Nottingham, online.
I think it's time for a swap. Is that right? 2:30.
Oh, is this?
Is that right? Yes, I think so.
Me?
I think it is.
I've gone.
Yeah. I'm just trying to elbow him in the most polite way possible, but as I'm in charge, theoretically, is Bell Drummond hitting the ball straight back at Harrison, and that's hit him on the wrist, I think. I hope he's okay, but that's been hit very hard. Calvin Harrison's dived to his, well, maybe fingers and wrist there. And he's just cradling his right hand in his shirt. That has hurt. That was hit like a rocket by Daniel Bell Drummond back at Calvin Harrison. He's done well to get anything on it. It's a single. Crawley has 109 from 112 balls. He faces now. Still a slip in for Zach Crawley. It's a bit of a hole for the bowler this time. Crawley's absolutely ready and studiously sees that one off and almost hockey style. It just rolls the bat over the top of it. So he's about to flick the ball out to the wing. 172 for 1. Thanks for all your emails today. KentCricket@gmail.com, and your tweets as well. Or posts, as they're now called, I'm reliably informed. That one, yeah, just gripped a little bit outside leg stump, and Crawley's angled it away. I'm not sure exactly if that was the direction he intended, but he takes a single through the offside, backward of point. So Harrison then over the wicket to Daniel Bell-Drummond. He gets the revolutions on the ball. Bell-Drummond looks back to his feet where he's positioned. The forward defensive has certainly worked. That it's kept the ball out. One ball to come of the 2 to come of the 48th over. Can't count to 6, as you'll have already realised if you've listened to this commentary before. 173 for 1. A single taken, 174. So 3 off the over so far. Harrison, I think, went for 10 off his previous over. So this one a little bit meaner. Last ball to come to Crawley. Crawley up on his toes. It's a gentle drive into the offside and fielded back to the wicket keeper. Good throw coming in from 2/3 of the way to the boundary from Lyndon James with his Notts cap on, 45 on his back. Throws it into the wicket keeper's glove, so that's the end of the over. 175 for 1, 4 off the over. Nottinghamshire here just trying to make something happen. And I think as Rita rejoins us, I go back to this, I think Nottinghamshire have bowled pretty well, and they're not letting Kent get away here. 175 for 1, that's credit to the bowlers, but they're finding it very difficult to get breakthroughs too.
Good afternoon, Matt. Good afternoon, everyone. I think you're spot on. Absolutely. That it hasn't been a case of Kent just taking advantage of bad balls. Not far from it. But Kent have done a decent enough job with 2 players very much in, especially certain Zach Crawley, who's on strike. Start of the next over, Patterson in fuller delivery. This one's defended to point, and there is no run. Yes, the Centurion Crawley, or Creepy as he's known. Oh, I'm not sure about that nickname, but
it doesn't sound like, yes,
as in Creepy
Crawley.
I get
that. It doesn't sound like very complimentary, does it? But we understand why he's called Creepy. But
I'll call him Zach if he doesn't mind.
He's probably the least creepy person you could meet if you were thinking about that as an adjective.
Maybe that's why it's okay, so to speak.
Or maybe so. Most ironic.
Yeah. 175 for 1 is the scoreline. Patterson comes in, he had a great spell before lunch. Here he comes, and this one's cut into the onside and to the mid-wicket region. Wasn't to hand, was it? But certainly stopped there. But this force of the ball meant that the ball sort of flung out of his hands from the fielder, and they go through for a single. 176 for 1.
John emails just saying there, and I'm not saying it's just because England have lost 3 cheap wickets against New Zealand in the ODIs, but John's saying if England are really trying to find a replacement for Jason Roy up top, Zach's always reminded me of Alex Hales batting wise. I can kind of see that, John. I keep going on about how hard he hits the ball, but he's a clean, aggressive hitter of the cherry as well.
Bell-Drummond, this one's driven, bump ball back to the bowler, and there's no run. Alex Hales, I think he recently announced his retirement, did he not, to stick to the white ball game, but what a cricketer, absolutely. But yeah, 24 for 3 is scoreline for England. Brooke, yeah, that bloke Brooke, into the start. 34 overs, isn't it, the shortened game for England against New Zealand. Brooke on 2 not out, Butler on 14. But what I find interesting, I'll come on to that point in a moment. Next ball comes in from Patterson. This one's defended by Bell-Drummond, and there's no run. But a certain Zach Crawley that we're seeing in front of us, who is the forthcoming ODI captain for England against Ireland. But why isn't he playing in against New Zealand today? Am I missing a point here?
The squad, if not exactly as I understand it, not exactly a second squad, is supporting the World Cup squad, if that makes sense. So Crawley captains it. Duckett's inside, for instance. There are other players there who are not going to the World Cup.
I knew you'd see reason there. Ball goes through, flies through to the keeper, and there's no run.
People are going to say, well, the other 14 are all in the World Cup squad now, but I don't believe they are. I think that's the intention anyway. Is to get those players international. The players who are bubbling under, I suppose, is the idea.
I'm going to put my business hat on.
Yeah.
Just for a moment.
Okay.
I know you're probably wondering what on earth I'm going to talk about. I think it's a good revenue stream, quite frankly, to keep cricket going on in England.
I suppose.
While the World Cup's going on.
An English team.
And yeah, indeed. But I'll walk away from business chat. Next one comes in, full delivery left by Belgium, and there's no run. Look, back to the game here, which is the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen. I know, but these two are so set in. What is it? 410 overs. They've got to start thinking. Kent have got to start thinking about batting points and upping the rate. 250, of course, is the new. It's not new anymore, but for this season, it's new. First mark to get your first batting points. This is a great opportunity for Kent, isn't it, to really try and cement some points in this game. And knowing that Middlesex were certainly struggling. I think
first and foremost, and this is what we're talking with Dave and I were talking about whether the watershed is now for the bonus points. So you have to go harder. Basically, you have to go quicker to get your bonus points in now. This one's in the offside. Crawley takes a single, but sides in this position are thinking it doesn't really matter how long it takes. We don't want to bat twice. So 550, 600 slowly is absolutely fine, because then Kent put themselves in, or the side batting first puts himself in with a great chance of winning, and that gets you 16 points, and that overrides the tinkering I think that's been done with the bonus points, for me anyway. Answers on a postcard. You can get in touch with us at BBC Kent Sport, at Brace Cricket, at Rita Green UK. This one's driven by Daniel Bell-Drummond. If I'm talking hogwash, feel free to tell me. And many have, and I'm looking at the emails now, and I'm sure we'll get to some of them in a minute. kentcricket@gmail.com. Delroy's been on Twitter as well, on X. Sorry, Elon. Has posted on X. I mean, it's still twitter.com, isn't it? Anyway, but there we are, 177 for one. Talking about your business head, that's your branding. He probably knows what he's doing. Harrison over the wicket to Bell-Drummond, who again defends this one, just blocks it back up the pitch. I'll get to that point from Delroy about Danny Bell-Drummond at the end of the over. Just one ball to come, if I may.
I think you got a great point about the 16 points draw and batting
the
only
win.
once.
Yeah, that's the. So this is angled into the onside by Bell-Drummond at the end of the over. I'm very glad he didn't get out there, because Delroy's point is, why is Daniel Bell-Drummond not being considered for white ball for England with more than decent stats over the past few years, from 2020 to 23, most runs in 2020, third most in 2021 over two overseas players ahead of him, and second most in 2023. I mean, you're preaching to the choir a little bit here, Delroy, because obviously at Kent they absolutely love Daniel Bell-Drummond. There's all sorts of reasons for it. I find it even more astonishing that he's not got a regular spot in the 100, that teams have decided not to play Daniel Bell-Drummond when he's been topping the blast rankings, as you say, over the past few years. So you'll get no disagreement here.
First ball of the over from Patton, and it's a good one, and it just drops short of the slip fielder. We've said that a couple of times before, but I suppose it nicely fielded in the end by a slip fielder who did rather well to go to his left-hand side. That's Calvin Harrison.
Yeah, it's rising delivery, wasn't it? It looked like it caught Crawley a bit by surprise. It's not that far back of a length if it is. So great delivery from Patterson, and Crawley's looking absolutely set. Suddenly, he's looking a little bit shaky, that delivery.
Always gives the bowlers a bit of hope, does Crawley. Here comes the next one for Patterson. This one's full delivery, defended, there's no run. Just now and again, he has so much quality for sure, but he always keeps the bowlers in it, but he's been there, done that, got the T-shirt many times for his country as well, of being pretty much written off by the press, by the fans, by everyone. But his self-belief, I'm gonna have to remember. You have to give me a moment actually to find out, remember what. Do you know, Ben Stokes was asked one word about every single one of the England team, and I've got to draw out what he said about Zach Crawley. Anyway, next one, here comes, and this one's driven into the covers, and there's a man in the deep who does a absolutely brilliant job. That's Hamid, who saves a certain 4 runs, 2 runs more to Zach Crawley, but a really nice cover drive that went to the left of cover. But Hamid did very good in the deep, and the score now 179 for 1.
Can I interject? 'Cause Daniel is on this very subject, actually answering the post when Zach Crawley had taken his score to 100. Says he's absolutely mustard. Only foolish people ever doubted him. Well, there's your answer.
Done. Next one for Patterson. This one's pushed into the onside, and there's no run. I love the correspondence we get.
I'm going to say that's a slightly Kentish perspective, but no, but
do you think?
Completely agree with you, Daniel. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Well, I'm the neutral here. I did spend quite a lot of my youth in Kent, but that's beside the point. I'm definitely neutral, okay, in every way. This is where X now. See what I did there?
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Is I had to
Back
remind
on
myself of that. Elon, I did say it right there. It's great to get your correspondence for sure. Right, Patterson continues, very tight over so far, just 2 from it, and this one wraps the pads, but probably an inside edge, and certainly something to keep the bowler interested. It wasn't an appeal, but Zach Crawley 3 times now has rehearsed after the original stroke what he wanted to play, which was a really nice on drive. So that's what he'll be playing next time when he gets asked the question of that type of delivery.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the question as to how you describe Zach Crawley in one word.
Well, that is something that is quite difficult to find, apparently, on my search engine. But I will tell you. Oh, the next one is a dot ball. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Crawley at the end of the over, 115 from 124 balls. His strike rate is slightly decreased. He was 100 from 100 when he hit a century, but still 92.7 is his strike rate. Bell Drummond has been a pretty good partner to him, but 38 from a very patient 88. No, hang on, let me say, very patient innings so far. 38 from 88. Bell Drummond, and this partnership is going along very nicely. I think, Matt, you raise a really good point. I hope you're okay. Did something just happen? I don't know. Just felt the desk change.
Yeah.
But
something Kentish
something
just happened.
happened.
Yeah, elsewhere.
But on to the next over.
Yeah, indeed. Calvin Harrison outside the leg stump, and Bell Drummond just pushes that into the onside for a single. Congratulations to Kent's Alice Davidson Richards, who's hit 100 for the South East Stars today. I mean, we pretty much taught her everything she knows when she came on commentary with us, but you know, I'm sure she'll give us credit later. But yeah, congratulations to her. It's a decent summer, Alice.
That's brilliant, Alice.
Yeah,
well
driven
done.
up to long on by Zach Crawley, absolutely safe along the ground. There's a single. He's on to 116, 39 for Daniel Bell Drummond. So yeah, 101 in there, 278 all out. The Stars are playing the Blaze, so we're top of the table, I believe, the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy. This one's just defended into the offside, and there's no run.
They're a good side, the Blaze.
Yeah, so
Very
they
good
are
side.
replying at the moment, 33 for 1 off 6. That's a Beckenham, not very far from here, but you'd definitely be a Kentish man rather than a man of Kent.
And one of my co-commentators, Grace Ballinger, got 4 wickets.
Ah, there we go. So, well, there we are. I've commentated with Grace myself. Very fine commentator. Doesn't bowl badly. 4 for 54. Thank you very much, Dave Bracegirdle. Lest we forget that there are listeners from outside Kent. I mean, I honestly do. But yeah, played for London Spirit, Northern Superchargers as well. This was driven by Crawley. It's a bit of a hack, that one. But again, he's a big lad with long levers, and so that's reached the boundary. Fielder for a single. 4 off the overs so far. But yeah, the Blaze have been going pretty well. top of that division.
And at the GS Bowl, by the way, England 40 for 4.
Ooh, crikey.
So another wicket has fallen. Butler and Ali at the wicket.
So Harrison to Bell Drummond and defends that end of the over. Just before I forget, and it might be a while after, it is indeed an hour since Graham emailed. Graham, my apologies, and you were saying nice things about the commentary. I should have read that straight away before you changed your mind. And I got into the wittering section of the day. Says everyone today has kept me entertained, regardless of the actual cricket, he says, which, by the way, is just what we needed, fighting off relegation over these next 3 matches. Keep it up. On a balmy afternoon, he says, he's listening in London. Is that balmy with an R and L? Maybe a bit of both in this heat. Graham, great to hear from you. Thank you very much, and for your kind comments as well. You know what I'm going to say. It's a job we love to do, and to be complimented on it in addition seems almost too much. I'm going to get emotional.
It's almost not a job, isn't it? It's so lucky to be here, for sure. By the way, argumentative is the word that Ben Stokes described a certain Zach Crawley, who's on strike right now for the start of a fresh new over. Hutton starts now a fresh spell from the Hackington Road end. Argumentative. Is that a surprise? It was a surprise to me. I don't know Zach very well, clearly, but that's not a word that you expect to hear from your Test captain. It was the one that sort of stood out. But I wanted to get it totally right. If someone called me argumentative, I'd kind of quite almost. I would be displeased because clearly he's got something to say.
Well, maybe Ben Stokes thought we're just going to put another thought in people's minds about Zach Crawley. Re-knows the argument, reappraise it, but that is interesting.
Right, Hutton, here he comes for the second ball of the over, and this one's just dabbed into the vacant third man area, and it goes all the way to the boundary rope. It bisected the gully fielder and the man at first slip for 4 runs. Really played it so late, but so well, and 4 runs. That would sort of annoy a bowler. That would annoy me anyway. But United played controlled from Bell Drummond. 188 for 1 is the scoreline.
Yeah, loves it to play, as I said, that area, playing it late as well. Argumentative Zach Crawley. I mean, you can tell when you... Well, I'll continue that thought in a second.
So 5 from the over so far, third ball of the over, and this one's banged in by Hutton. And there's no run. Just before you come to your point, actually,
yeah, of course.
I've got to remember this. I went for a wander, as I said, at lunchtime. Makes me sound like I was just, didn't have a role to play today. I'm just wandering around.
You were away for 40 minutes. I don't know what was going on.
No, it wasn't that long, was it?
Well, lunch is 40 minutes, so I don't know.
Well, a fair chunk of it, but I was going around on the outbound. Maybe it was. But I had a big job to get the ice creams. Anyway, I bumped into a lovely gentleman, and I'll tell you what he asked me in a moment. Here comes Brett Hutton. From the Hackington Road end, and it's pushed into the onside. They go through for a single down to fine leg. Now Zach Crawley on strike, and he asked me, Brett Hutton, is he a relation of anyone, particularly famous with a surname like Hutton? I think this might be a question more for Dave, but I didn't suggest so, but I'm sure I'll ask Dave, or if someone can ask Dave in a few moments' time. So thank you very much. I should have caught your name, but he came over to me and asked me. In fact, he's sitting to my left, actually. So
think of the Great Len, maybe.
Yeah, that exactly.
Yeah.
He was thinking of that, but the search engines I use didn't come up with much. Anyway, Brett Hutton, a very full delivery to Zach Crawley, and I think Zach Crawley, he's looking at the end of his bat there. He's sort of got the toe end, which never feels right as a batter. It never feels particularly nice. So thank you for that. And before I forget, talking about Kent and we are obviously, and female cricketers. I've played. So I played for Berkshire for many years, who actually, even though don't have a first-class men's side, did have and still do have a very good women's side. We played against Kent a trillion times, and certain Charlotte Edwards.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I'm that old. I played against her so many times, and always was just so brilliantly timing the ball. It's unbelievable. So graceful as well, and a great player. So Kent brings back those memories when I came here many moons ago. Right, this one down the leg side and flicked into the onside. Is it a 4? Nicely saved on the boundary road.
No.
In fact, do you know what?
That's good
Nicely
score,
saved.
yeah.
I thought However, this is why we love the game of cricket, in the sense that the fielder brushed the boundary rope and signalled a 4. That's Lyndon James, who is a very, very honest chap there down in the deep. And indeed, it goes through for 4 runs. So 4 more to the total, 4 more to Crawley, 193 for 1.
Yeah, good man, Lyndon James there. He was just saying to the support staff behind him, his studs got caught in the turf. And so he touched the rope with his foot, I think, as he fielded the ball, but immediately signalled 4. But as you say, it's exactly what we want to see. Good man. Every reason to expect every cricketer would do that as well. But Charlotte Evans, of course, that great Kent team with Lydia Greenway and her long-term partner at the crease as well. Superb.
Brilliant for England. Brilliant for anyone she played with.
Yeah.
And in fact, I interviewed her after the Charlotte Edwards Cup, which is named after her, as she was coach of the winning side.
Of course, yeah. She's not doing too badly. She was coaching the
IPL?
The Indians as well.
That's
right.
Indians,
so this one's
and most recent in the 100 as well. So I think she's got the hat trick. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's a surprise, is it, that she seems to know quite a lot about cricket. If I could put it as bluntly as that. Here's Harrison to Bell Drummond, drives it into the offside, and they'll take a single, attractive-looking drive, but he picks out the field, and James there inside the boundary, and there's just the one from there. What I was going to say about Zach Crawley, I obviously Ben Stokes knows him a lot better than all of us do, but he's an absolute gentleman, a real gent to talk to, and always willing to speak to us when he's around a few times now. He's actually at Canterbury. But when you talk to him about his cricket, he's a steely man. I mean, I think he is determined. I was saying to Dave earlier, because Dave was saying, what should Crawley get here from his start? He should get 150, and he sets his boundaries very high in that respect. As he cuts this ball away, he's going to be out now on saying this, but it's the boundary. And I was mentioning, as the 100 partnership comes up, Crawley's got 51 of them. Bell Drummond has 46, 195 for 1. And I remember speaking to him in the first game of the season, maybe in the opening day, and he scored 91. And I said, obviously good to come into the season with in good touch. And he was upset with himself having scored 91, because he said there were loads more runs out there. Like, I've fallen short here, and there was no sort of artifice about it or bigging himself up. It was just, no, that's not good enough.